What's going on? Jake here with Uncommon EDC. Today we're checking out the Nebo Einstein Cap100, not to be confused with the Nebo Einstein Cap light that you can currently find on Amazon or the Nebo site directly. I believe that light is meant to be a direct replacement of this one, however both are still available at the time of recording, and so I'll try and link to both of those in the description of this video. Now there are some differences between the two lights. Notably, this one is 100 lumens, as that Cap100 name implies, where the new cap light is only 50 lumens. The trade-off being that one has a feature where there's a second button here that activates a motion sensor, so you can operate this completely hands-free once that's activated by waving your hand in front of the light, and that will turn it on and off. There's also a little bit of a price difference, with this being the less expensive option at $9.99 and the other being $14.99. And so pretty sure it's a replacement because this is no longer listed on the Nebo website, but I grabbed it kind of on a whim at my P.O. box. They have a lot of random odds and ends, and for only $10 it seemed like a great one to toss in my glove box. But I did find that it's still readily available at Dick's Sporting Goods, both for pickup and delivery. SMKW, even Instacart had it, and they said they had it at my local Ralph's. I don't know where you would find this at a grocery store, but apparently you can order it on Instacart and they will deliver it. And so I will link to one of those options in the description, as well as the new replacement, so if you prefer that one, you can go that route. Now, this is meant to be kind of a headlamp, but as the name implies, it clips to the brim of your hat. And so I'm always wearing a hat, so this makes a little bit more sense for me than a headlamp, so I don't have to worry about that strap. But I also keep a hat in my car, so that's why it makes a great pairing to just toss in the glove box or even clip to your visor, whatever the case may be. And so I'll show how that attaches exactly how you might imagine. There's just a clip on here. Can clip to the top or the bottom, although the bottom's probably more recommendable. You can see it seats on there pretty nicely, just right in that curve of the brim. And the reason the bottom is a little bit better for mounting is because this also pivots up to 90 degrees, so you can point this directly at whatever you're trying to shine that light on. You can of course do that on the top of the brim as well, but since the brim is going to be blocking your field of vision, most of the time you're not going to be wanting to point this much higher than straight ahead on the brim. And so let's take a look at the light itself. Plastic body on here, only comes in one color as far as I'm aware of, which is this gray. Dimensions on here are about 2.5 inches long by 2 inches wide and 7/8 of an inch thick, and weighs in at only 1.24 ounces. You really don't notice it on your hat at all, but it's not something I'd really wear around on a day-to-day basis, and that's true of headlamps as well. If you're going out for a jog or whatever the case may be, sure, you might wear it then, but probably not something I'd wear all day. I prefer the regular form and function of a regular hand flashlight. And so this is more something that I would want in an emergency. If you're broken down on the side of the road, you need to look under your hood or change your tire. You don't want to have to be dealing with losing one hand to a regular flashlight or carrying it in your mouth or propping it up somewhere. And so this is nice because it's always facing exactly what you're looking at. And so in terms of function, it couldn't be easier to operate. You can click this button on the top to go into your high mode, and then clicking it again just cycles through the couple different modes. If you wait probably 5 seconds or so before clicking it again, it'll just go off. It's not going to continue to cycle because it's assuming that you're not trying to cycle, you're trying to get off, so you don't have to cycle through all of those modes. This high mode is 100 lumens, lasts for about 2 hours, throws for 24 meters or so, and does have a battery indicator on the top with 25% in each light. So this means that we're over 75%, but probably under 100%. It doesn't change colors or anything like that, so just going to be your red indicators here. Now that 100 lumens is nice. It has a nice wide beam on it, as you can kind of see from the light. It's a wider beam, and so lights up the area very nicely without throwing all that far. And even that 100 lumens doesn't destroy your night vision, although there is a night vision option on here. The one downside to this beam is that if we look a little bit closer, this does kind of extend out further, but just in order to show it, it does have a very dark kind of yellow greenish tint around the edges of that beam, which I know drives some people crazy and can be a deal breaker. For me, it doesn't bother me so much, but I know there are a lot of people that it does, and so wanted to point that out. And that's true in the low mode as well. So we cycle over to the low mode, we get our 50 lumens. It's a little bit less noticeable here, but still true. That throws about 15 meters and will last 3.5 hours. And last but not least, in the cycling modes is the green lights. These are, to to preserve your night vision, similar to a red light. 4 lumens on these will last about 10 hours. It says it throws about 13 meters. It feels like it's a little bit less to me than that low mode, which is 15 meters, and not just 2 meters less. And so that does feel like a little bit inaccurate, but does throw decently far. When we're close up, you can see the 2 different beams, but as soon as you get about half a foot to a foot out, you have a combined beam, and you don't really notice it is coming from 2 different LEDs on there. And then you can activate that night vision without going into the white modes, because you're trying to preserve your night vision. You don't want to have that bright white light. You can just hold on to this for about 2 seconds or so, and it will click into that night vision mode directly. Now, when you click it again, it does cycle, and so if you click it immediately after, it's going to cycle back into that low and high mode. And then there is a strobe mode as well, so quick strobe warning. This is going to be, I don't know, 15 seconds or so, skip forward, but double clicking it gets into your strobe mode, and that's the same as the high mode, 100 lumens, 2 hours, about 24 meters. And so just clicking it again turns it right back off. Now, you may have noticed actually when it was on in that high mode, it doesn't seem to flash on the camera. In the low mode, it looks like it's flashing. In person, that is not true. It's just the frame rate of the camera that's creating that illusion, I guess. Now, last thing of note is IPX2 splash proof. So this is not submersible, but should be fine in a storm, especially with the brim of your hat protecting it. As long as you don't submerge it, it should be fine. Now, that charging port is covered by a little silicone sleeve that isn't the tightest on there, which is why it's only splash proof and not waterproof, but that's hiding a micro USB port, which is a little bit of a bummer. I don't know if the Cap-Light converts to USB-C. Hopefully it does, but this version has the micro USB, and it does include a cord, which is nice, so you can just pair those together in your car or wherever you're carrying it to recharge it. And decent battery life. I think for what it is, I don't need more output. Most of the time when you're using it, you know, for a roadside emergency, your car's 2 feet in front of you, so you don't really need a super bright light. And in fact, a super bright light might be kind of counterintuitive, where it's just destroying your night vision being right up on top of it. And so I think it's a pretty cool light, especially at $9.99. This form factor is not unique to Nebo. There's plenty of companies out there making these and making them with more lumens, but a lot of those options are a little bit pricier. This one's only $9.99. It is, of course, made in China, as far as I know. It just says imported on the website, but we can assume that that's probably made in China. But pretty cool light. Let me know what you think of it down in the comments below. As usual, if you enjoyed the video, consider liking, commenting, subscribing, or joining the channel as a member. And as always, I hope you have a great one. Take care.